3 things people missed about David and Goliath. When we think of David versus Goliath, we often imagine a tale of an underdog beating impossible odds. But what if we told you there's more to the story than meets the eye? Uncover the hidden truths behind the legendary battle. Join us as we delve into 3 commonly overlooked aspects of this epic battle. When we envision Goliath, we picture a towering giant, seemingly invincible. But what if we told you there's more to this story than meets the eye? Beneath Goliath's colossal stature lies a critical vulnerability, an impairment that changed the course of history. Suddenly, the narrative of David facing an unbeatable enemy takes on a whole new meaning. But David wasn't just any shepherd boy. He was a strategic genius. While Goliath relied on sheer strength and fear, David saw beyond the surface. He understood the power of speed over armor, of precision over physical force. Armed with nothing but a simple sling, David transformed a seemingly humble weapon into a deadly tool of warfare. His victory wasn't luck, it was the result of meticulous planning and skillful execution. Beyond the battlefield, lies a deeper conflict between David and Saul, a clash of values that transcends mere physical combat. While Saul focused on outward appearances, David recognized the importance of inner character. So, are you ready to uncover the hidden truths behind one of the most famous battles in history? The first one, Goliath's vulnerabilities. When we picture Goliath, we often imagine a towering figure, a formidable giant who seems unbeatable. But hidden beneath his massive frame lies a crucial vulnerability. Some experts argue that Goliath might have had a condition called acromegaly, that was caused by the height of his body. This condition can cause severe nearsightedness, making it hard for someone to see things clearly, especially objects far away. Imagine standing before your opponent, ready to fight, but unable to see them clearly. That's the situation Goliath might have faced. Despite his enormous size, his vision might have been impaired, leaving him vulnerable to attacks he couldn't anticipate. This sheds new light on his call for David to come closer during their showdown. "Come to me," he said, "and I'll give your flesh to the birds and the wild animals." 1 Samuel 17 verse 44. Goliath's supposed advantage of size and strength becomes less formidable when we consider his potential visual impairment. This revelation challenges the traditional narrative of David facing an unbeatable enemy. Moreover, Goliath's reliance on intimidation tactics, such as calling out to his opponents, might have been driven by his inability to identify them clearly from a distance. His challenge to the Israelites to send out a champion to face him could be interpreted not only as a display of arrogance but also as a way to compensate for his visual limitations. By urging his opponents to approach him, Goliath might have been attempting to minimize the impact of his impaired vision on the battlefield. The second, David's strategic brilliance. David and Goliath's battle wasn't just about who had the biggest muscles or the shiniest armor. It was about who could outsmart the other. Goliath, with all his fancy weapons and armor, seemed like an unbeatable opponent. But David saw things differently. He knew that all that heavy gear would slow Goliath down. So instead of trying to match him in strength, David decided to use his speed and skill to his advantage. He didn't waste time trying to put on heavy armor like Goliath. Instead, he grabbed his sling, which was a simple but deadly weapon. While Saul doubted the power of the sling, in David's hands, it was a powerful tool. He had practiced with it for years while protecting his sheep from wild animals. "Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them because he has defied the armies of the living God." 1 Samuel 17 verse 36. So when it came time to face Goliath, David knew exactly what he was doing. Goliath may have laughed at David for not wearing armor, but David had a plan. He knew that Goliath's size and heavy armor made him slow and clumsy. So instead of fighting him head-on, David stayed agile, darting around the battlefield, always one step ahead. When David finally let loose with his sling, it wasn't just a random shot. He aimed carefully, targeting the one vulnerable spot on Goliath's body, the space between his eyes. And with one well-aimed stone, David brought the mighty giant crashing down. The third, perception versus reality. The story of David and Goliath exemplifies this contrast vividly. Many people envision David stepping onto the battlefield armed only with a simple sling, overlooking the effectiveness of his weapon. However, this portrayal overlooks the true power and sophistication of David's chosen instrument. In ancient times, slings were not mere toys but formidable weapons employed by armies worldwide. David's sling was not just a plaything but a carefully crafted tool designed for precision and killing power. Its construction included a leather pouch attached to two long cords, along with a projectile such as a rock or lead ball. This design enabled David to launch projectiles with remarkable speed and accuracy, similar to the stopping power of a modern handgun. David's victory over Goliath was not a result of luck or chance, but of meticulous planning and skillful execution. He understood the capabilities of his sling and wielded it with expertise, aiming for Goliath's most vulnerable spot between the eyes. David's ability to employ the tools at his disposal to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds is a testament to his ingenuity and creativity. The disparity between perception and reality in this narrative serves to highlight its deeper layers of meaning. Beyond the surface level of a shepherd boy facing a giant warrior lies a profound lesson about the power of strategy and determination. David's sling symbolizes the potential for unconventional tactics to triumph over physical force, challenging conventional notions of strength and weakness. Moreover, David's mastery of the sling reflects his willingness to embrace his unique strengths and leverage them to achieve victory. Instead of attempting to match his enemy's might with heavy armor and weaponry, David remains true to himself and his abilities. This authenticity is what proves to be his greatest asset on the battlefield. Beyond the fighting part, there's more going on in the story between David and Saul. In chapter 16, we learn that David is chosen by God to replace Saul as the king. This change in God's favor from Saul to David shows us something important about how we see people. Saul focuses on appearances, like strength or power. But David sees deeper than that. He understands what really matters is what's inside a person, not just how they look. This is a big idea in the story. In chapter 16, we see how Samuel, a man close to God, is sent to find Saul's replacement. But this time, God doesn't give Samuel all the details. He just tells him to go to Jesse's house in Bethlehem. This is different from before when Samuel was given very specific instructions to anoint Saul. When Samuel gets to Jesse's house, he sees Eliab, Jesse's oldest son. Eliab looks like a great leader and warrior, so Samuel thinks he must be the one God chose. But God tells Samuel something important: he doesn't care about how people look on the outside. What matters is what's in their heart. But the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him." The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16 verse 7. This lesson is important because it shows us that God cares more about who we are on the inside than how we appear on the outside. Saul, on the other hand, is always worried about how he looks to others. He doesn't listen to God's guidance and relies too much on what he can see. David, however, understands this lesson. He sees beyond appearances and understands that what's inside a person is what truly matters. This is why God chooses David to be king instead of Saul. The conflict between David and Saul goes deeper than just a battle on the battlefield. It's a clash of values. Saul values outward appearances, while David values inner character. This conflict adds another layer of meaning to the David versus Goliath story, showing us that true strength comes from within, not from what others see on the outside. The Valley of Elah holds a special significance in David and Goliath's story. It's not just a place where two opponents face off, it represents something bigger. It symbolizes the struggle between belief and fear. Saul and his soldiers were afraid of Goliath. They saw him as an unbeatable giant, and their fear held them back. But David was different. Despite the odds, he didn't let fear control him. He believed in himself and something greater than himself. David's courage in facing Goliath wasn't just about winning a battle, it was about challenging what others thought was impossible. He didn't see Goliath as an undefeatable enemy, he saw him as an obstacle to overcome. David said to the Philistine, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." 1 Samuel 17 verse 45. David's perspective was one of unwavering faith in his abilities and in a higher power guiding him. David vs. Goliath goes beyond its biblical origins, offering timeless insights into resilience and resourcefulness. Beyond just a story of triumph, we uncover a story of strategic ingenuity and unwavering faith. It serves as a reminder that true victory lies not in physical stature but in the courage to defy the odds. With that said, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this exploration, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more thought-provoking content on faith, history, and culture. Remember, sharing is caring, so spread the word and let's continue this journey together.